date is June 7th, 1944, a day after the D-Day landings. Many Americans, Canadians, Australians, and British have given their lives for those landings to be a success. Wait, what? Cut the music, cut the music. You have never heard of the D-Day landings? Well, let us begin, shall we? So a quick catch up on what's been going on in the world. This man with a wonderful mustache came along and destroyed Germany's democratic government, known as the Weimar Republic, and made a fascist state in its place. He would soon forcefully take Austria and the country of Czechoslovakia. The Allied powers Britain and France did nothing about it. And soon enough, that man with a square mustache would sign an alliance, and maybe a kiss, with another man with an even more beautiful mustache actually, named Joseph Stalin. The leader of this country is way too big. They would soon occupy a country called Poland. Blah blah blah, France and the UK Engie. Blah blah blah, France gets taken over by funny mustache man. Blah blah blah, small island go boom. Blah blah blah, death of Jews. All not important. This is all for another day, another video. All we need to know is these ugly beaches and square boat thingies are important. Before the landings had to begin, the British had to try to trick the Germans into thinking that an invasion into central part of northern France was not going to happen. They couldn't make like an invasion wasn't going to happen. That's impossible. They just needed the Germans to think they were going to land anywhere but Normandy. And they found the perfect spot, the perfect location at a beach called Calais. The perfect landing zone, meaning the worst place to land as the Germans were expecting it. So guess what the British did? They told the Germans through secret ways that they were going to land here, and here's how they did it. Operation Fortitude would soon be planned out. A trick to make it look like the British were attacking Calais or Norway. Massive amount of fake tanks, troops, planes, and runways would be made to trick the Germans. A new group would also be created called the 20 Committee. Their symbol was the Roman numeral of XX. The 20 Committee would give the Germans fake intel through spies and easy to intercept messages. Much of the information was real information, but was too late for the Germans to use any of it. Britain would soon also find out that Germany had a lot of spies in the UK, and they would find them and make them into double agents, working for the British instead of the Germans. Back in 1941, the British would sink a German U-boat, and after all the crew escaped the sinking sub, the British would soon go into it and find anything that could be useful before it fully sank into the ocean. And what they found would change the war forever. They found what was called a Enigma code machine and code book. The Enigma code was a secret code used by the Germans to contact each other. It was impossible to intercept, and the code was changed daily. There were 159 million possible permutations of code that could be used, and when the British read the Enigma code when they got back to their base, they were in awe, as the Germans figured out that they were not going to attack Normandy, and they thought they were going to attack Calais or Norway. After the British would have the greatest counterintelligence plan the world has ever seen, as massive amounts of materials and men would have to be hidden from the German eyes. Massive amounts of ports and landing crafts would be created to make this operation possible. The original attack date was the invasion was June 4th, but a massive storm would go through the channel, making it so they would have to delay the invasion. June 5th, the same thing was going on. The same storm was still going through. A meeting would be held between the Allied commanders. If they delay it again, they won't be able to invade until July. Thousands of men were held up in boats and waiting to be beached, getting sick at sea and stir crazy. Many supplies and men were on the coast that was near Normandy. Some British commanders were saying, what if the Germans' planes or boats would see our men? Then a RAF meteorologist enters the room. His name is James Martin Stagg, and he announces to the people in the room this would be one of the most important weather reports ever. He says the skies and sea would be good for an invasion on the 6th of June. The operation is a go. Thousands of Allied vessels undocked and set off towards France, being escorted by British military navy vessels and minesweepers. British anti-air guns had shot down many German Air Force planes out of the sky and bombed runways, making the German Air Force weak in the area, meaning no German planes would see the British and Americans coming. Allied transport planes carried 17,000 airborne troops to the French coast. The ships would sail all night and wouldn't make it until dawn, but the paratroopers and pathfinders had a job to do. The pathfinders would help light the drop zones for the paratroopers to land. There were 4 planes carrying the Pathfinders. One missed their target, one had a problem and had to abort the mission, and the last 2 planes had almost all of their supplies in the aborted plane. The paratrooper drop goes even worse, and many men were shot just parachuting from the sky. And eventually, British and American men blockaded roads, destroyed windbreaks, and dismantled artillery guns before the soon-to-be invasion force arrives. At 6:30 a.m., June 6, 1944, D-Day has begun. Transport ships soon dispatch from their bigger vessel counterparts and start to head all over northern France. Multiple landing points like Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword would be nicknames for many French beaches just in case the Germans were listening. In this video, we'll be talking about the American efforts on the Omaha landings. The beach's original name was Côte d'Or, or translated to Golden Coast. The American U.S. 1st and 29th Infantry Divisions would be the main divisions in Omaha, with the beach being a hellhole for the Americans to traverse. With anti-tank mines, German machine guns, waves that could drown you or hurt you just by crashing into you, as well as giant beach coastal walls. The rugged, rough terrain and the anti-tank mines made it hell for American armored vehicle divisions to push through. A withdrawal from Omaha Beach was a very optional thing that might have happened, but if it wasn't the vital beach connecting the American and British forces together. As the battle raged on, a large number of units started to scale the hills and started to take out German artillery and machine gun forces. And by the end of the 6th, the battle wasn't over, but it was clear to see the Americans were going to stay. The fall of Germany on the Western Front had just begun. Come back next week as we talk about the French Revolution that started to stir up in Vichy, France after these landings.